Let's say you're a big boy VC and you got into a project, but you feel that yourself and that project's team are no longer aligned. In a conventional world, if you're on a 2-year vesting schedule, you'll just write that project off. You're not going to help them. You're not going to communicate. You're not doing anything for them. They're going to flounder. Their value's going to go down worse. You're going to just have to take a write off. Nobody wins. But with Revest, you can actually exit a portion or the entirety of your position, especially if we see the existence of a DAO or another venture capitalist who's interested in rehabilitating projects. They come in, buy the vested tokens at a subprime price, so they get a discount. You get to exit your position and take less of a loss. The team gets somebody who actually cares about the project. Everybody wins.
Welcome to Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel, where we explore projects in decentralized finance that are innovating and driving our mission of financial freedom forward. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Mission DeFi and spread the word by posting a tweet to the show. All opinions expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests are their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Black Knox, Material Indicators, or any other affiliated organizations. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests as an inducement to make a particular investment, follow a particular strategy, or become involved with any project. A project being featured on the show is not an endorsement of that project in any way. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Now, here's Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel.
I am excited today to have Rob Montgomery from a project called Revest. And I got connected with Rob because somebody else who's a big fan of his project and probably an investor in the project in some way recommended I reach out. So I took a look at it, and I think the concept is really cool based on some other things that I'm involved with. I think there might be some synergies. And so it gives me a great chance to meet Rob, hear how the project is going and how it functions, and to see what's possible. So Rob, thank you for joining us. If you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into crypto, and then we'll get into Revest and how that all came about.
All right. It's a pleasure to meet you, Brad. So I guess I kind of start back at the beginning. So my name is Rob Montgomery, and I'm the CEO of Revest Finance. Born, raised Atlanta, Georgia, and out of all things, I have a background as a mechanical engineer. Been in graduate school for probably the past 3 years or so, working on my doctorate.
Wow.
But all along, throughout the entire process of becoming an engineer, I have had a long interest in crypto. I started programming in 2011, actually Minecraft.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this mod called Explosives Plus. It was a good time.
That's very cool.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Brad, it was so much fun. I had 1 million downloads in the thing. I started out really small, then ping-ponged off YouTubers, and we just kind of we built off of each other. It's a benevolent cycle.
Yeah, that's awesome. A good friend of mine runs a project called Uplift, which is a Minecraft-based metaverse with NFTs.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And he's moving it on to some other chains. So that's very cool. I should probably connect you two guys up.
If you want to talk about all the crazy ways you can build explosives in 3D Java games, I'm happy to turn them on to a few things.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. So you started learning how to program, writing Java for Minecraft for basically plugins for servers so people could use it in their worlds.
It was a fun little hobby I had back in high school, and through it and just the wider kind of Minecraft community, actually, I got led to Bitcoin, which is a really weird way to find Bitcoin, but okay.
That is.
It was 2012. Bitcoin was not even $40 a token at that point.
Wow.
this is interesting. Unfortunately, put it off for a few months. I did some investigating. And by the time I actually bought in, I believe it was early 2013. Bitcoin was $40 a Bitcoin. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I wish I put more than $100 in, Brad.
Yeah. Well, we're all tentative at first.
So I got really into crypto at that point. Try to convince my family, hey, give me $10,000. Bitcoin is going to be huge. It's going to be the next big thing. And they're like, get back to work. So,
Do you ever say to them, you know what that 10,000 would be worth right now?
I have a text from my father. My father and I are very good friends. Sit out and have cigars all the time. We hang out. We hang out like every other week or so.
Right.
But I love to rib him about those texts. I'm probably going to get it framed at some point.
Oh, I love it.
It's me telling him, you guys really need to be buying Bitcoin. And he's like, son, you need to stop gambling and focus on investing, including yourself.
Oh man, that's the best I told you so ever.
It's I mean, at the time, I understand. He doesn't understand Bitcoin. He doesn't understand crypto. I still have
Sure.
time getting him wrap his head around it, but it's pretty great.
Oh my God. So that 10,000 would be $15,250,000 right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's painful.
Well,
It's very painful.
we all have stories of what we should have done.
So, but I did get involved in crypto. So I can't complain. I stayed involved in crypto. I got, in and out throughout the early 2010s. I'd buy some here, sell some there. Never really got into any projects in a big way because, the only projects back then were like full mainnet builds. But I did get into Ethereum come the 2017 bull market.
Okay.
That was my first kind of steps is like, I started mine. Went out and bought a 1070. I got kind of into that community.
Nice.
And it was fun, but then because I didn't entirely know what I was doing, I overclocked the 1070, and unfortunately, it caught fire.
No.
Yes,
God.
that was dude, Brian. That was an odd day. So I came home. It's sitting over there actually. Still, it's just like a desktop PC that I built out, turned into a web server.
Right.
Flex, Home Assistant, and various automation systems. It's a nice little hobbyist project.
Right.
But I was using it as my money rig too. And I come home and it's not working and I can't get it to turn on. And I get sniff inside and it smells a little like electricity. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
power supply unit blew. That must be it.
right.
So I go and I order a new PSU and I pop it in and turn on the system. And I kid you not, the 1070 just starts shooting out a 2-inch stream of fire from the side of it.
No.
So it turned out that the entire thing caught fire, and that's why the PSU had fried. It had been tripped. But
Oh man.
you better believe I unplugged that thing real fast.
I guess so. That's insane. Wow. So was that the end of your mining career?
That was the end of my mining career,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
That'll probably do it for anybody.
Well, okay, I'm gonna file a warranty claim, and I'm just going to use this as a graphics card from now on.
There you go.
But I did stay involved. I got into Chainlink when it started up.
Nice.
I think I bought it around $4 or $5.
Sweet.
So, I'm not one of those guys who bought Link at a ridiculously low price, but I got in. I was around.
Right.
Trade, played around, and then this year has been my big crypto year. So I got married this year.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you very much. But this figures into the whole story. It was January, I think. I'd asked my wife to marry me in December, and she said yes. It started to hit me. Oh my God. And I am a broke ass grad student who's not even that passionate about what he's doing.
She must really love you.
Oh, she does. She's amazing. Honest to God, Brad, that woman has kept me alive throughout being a CEO. She is a saint.
That's
how I
awesome.
put up with us.
That's great.
I'm very fortunate man. So come like January, February, I realized, okay, I want to actually start making some money. So I looked to, one of my oldest hobbies, which is crypto. And I looked to my other oldest hobby, which is programming. And I'm like, okay, these two are kind of a match made in heaven. Let's
Sure.
see what happens if I start exploring them. So I started a validation node on the unification network, and that went fairly well. It's called Profundity. It's still running now. It's a Cosmos fork, right?
Right.
So the way they work is you have a weekly lottery, and I take a cut of that lottery, whatever my node brings in.
Okay.
So I was making, a few thousand a week, a few weeks into this project. I'm like, okay,
That's
this is,
awesome.
this is more money than I'm making in my salary.
That's an income. That's good.
Yes. So I'm going to keep going. Right around then, the first NFT bull was kind of reaching its height.
Right.
Remember, like March,
Yep.
April, everything was flying off the handle, all these random art projects. It wasn't art Avatar season yet,
Right.
Avatar, whatever you want to call it. That hadn't quite hit its stride, but it was NFT mania,
Right.
part one.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, I have something that is really pretty in my back pocket, because back in 2017, I actually tried to rewrite my Minecraft mod right before I started grad school. No, 2018, that was it. And I had this really unique code for an explosion. It used chaos theory to fling things around in crazy
Wow.
shape. Oh yeah, no, it was cool. And I saw Chico's video on Proof of Beauty. It's an NFT project that lets you choose a seed, right?
Right.
And I thought, okay, I really like that. That actually works really well with this code that I have sitting around. I'm going to combine these two.
Oh,
And
nice.
I did an interactive NFT in JavaScript.
Oh,
And
man.
it was, yeah, it was, it's called Negative Entropy. It's sitting around. Someday I'll do part two, but
That's a really cool concept.
yeah, it's pretty. It's 3D kinetic sculptures. So
Wow.
part of
Awesome.
storm animations,
Oh,
basically.
I'm definitely going to take a look at that.
Oh yeah, it was fun. So, but the end result of this was that I learned Solidity, and that I mean, honestly, it was pretty easy to learn on top of, nearly 10 years of Java.
I was going to say, if you know Java, you're probably not going to have a lot of trouble learning
It,
Solidity.
it was not hard.
So, but how did you go from that to Revest? I mean, obviously the NFTs is part of it.
Yes. So that's actually where Revest begins to take form. It is Negative Entropy launched, and it was a success. It made 15F. It was good. I
Nice.
had a lot of fun making it. But once it had launched, I was kind of like, okay, what's next?
Right.
And I was playing around on Beyond NFT's website one day, just, looking through, seeing what the latest projects were. And Beyond NFT is the interactive NFT platform that I've used. It's kind of like an open source art blocks, actually. But they're a cool little sub project. And I found they have a marketplace.
Okay.
It purported to be an NFT of a live Bitcoin price feed. Thought to myself, that's kind of cool. Let's see what this is. So I clicked on it, and it was just a panda jumping on a slot machine. It's a weapon,
Okay.
not a live Bitcoin price feed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I was disappointed. I thought, okay, I can do better than this. Fired up, JS Fiddle, and started playing around with 3JS and the Chainlink price feeds, and using Infura.
Right.
The next thing I knew, I had actually written a live Bitcoin price feed. I started to think, what if you were using these price feeds on chain with an NFT?
Nice.
Because you've got the NFT here, you've got the price feeds off chain, just working in the code in JavaScript, but these are on chain things. You can use them with Solidity.
Right.
And then kind of wheels started turning. It was like, wait a second, unlocking value, thresholds, price locks. And that led into Revest. The ideas for Revest started to take shape. I reached out to some friends that I'd made along the way, the web dev who helped me with Negative Entropy. He's now my CTO.
Nice.
Some friends of mine I'd made via the validator. One of them was my CINO, Chris. And the other one is my CFO, Louis, Dr. Louis Gagnon. He's a professor of finance at Queen's University up in Kingston, Canada. Kingston, Ontario? Yeah, Ontario. So, these people, they kind of just fell into my lap, and we just started talking, and it worked. It clicked. They were interested in the idea. They came on board. We had a group, we had a project, and we started working. As we worked, I brought in a few more friends of mine. My buddy Mikkel, can't say his real name, of course. He's an Atlanta-based entrepreneur who's been involved in projects for 10 years now, just doing various entrepreneurship work and marketing. My buddy Thedo, who is he's also Atlanta-based. He's got a background in, well, private equity and all sorts of, just traditional CFI roles.
Nice.
So I brought him in and we had the team put together at that point.
Damn, that sounds like a solid team.
They're fantastic people. I could not have done this without them. We also, along the way, we also picked up Fubar. I should not forget to mention Fubar. He was instrumental in helping me hash out the solidity, gas optimizations. The man he's inspired. He did a bunch of work for Sushi Swap. Okay, I'm gonna jump in here with a short anecdote. And so we were looking for a name, and I haven't gotten to tell the story a lot. We were just looking around with things that had to do with vesting, because we figured out pretty quickly early on that vesting would be our first vertical.
Okay.
And so we're thinking of, what works with vesting, and we come up with Revest, which means to reinvest.
Right.
But as it turns out, there's actually a man named Ron Revest, RIVST, and he is the R in RSA cryptography.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes, it is quite the coincidence.
You got to reach out to him and say, hey, we used your name, but we changed it to an E.
We'd like an official sponsorship, sir.
That's great. So let's go through and talk about what it feels to me. And I haven't taken as deep a dive as I would like to so far, but I have watched some of your videos. I watched you actually onboarding a project, which was cool. But I'd really like to kind of get a feel for people about what's possible, because it feels to me like there are a lot of possibilities of what you can do with this platform. And so I want to get the overview of kind of what it is and what's possible in general, and then talk about maybe some of the use cases for it.
So I'm going to kind of give a top level overview of Revest, and then we can get down into the weeds.
Great.
So what Revest's mission fundamentally is that we are seeking to tokenize non-fungible financial positions with non-fungible tokens. And I mean, you may think, okay, that sounds very broad and very general, but I'll get into a little bit of detail here. When you think about financial positions as a whole, there's really just two types of them. There's fungible and there's non-fungible. And if you look at centralized finance, you have representations of both those types of positions with, instruments that make sense for them. So a stock is represented with, a unique piece of paper that says, I am this stock, I am not someone else's stock, and you can't interchange it. But when you look at DeFi, it's not so straightforward. We're trying to use quarters, ERC20s, to represent something as complex as a limit order or an option.
Right.
And it makes no sense. I guess the fundamental aspect to grasp here is that you have something that is unique and cannot be stacked on top of itself. You have something that is stackable. And obviously, when you're talking about a currency or when you're talking about loans on a single token, those stackable things, they make a lot of sense. Liquidity pool tokens make great sense.
Right.
Aave's loan token make great sense. But let's say you get into something like an option. An option is a great example. You've got multiple independent variables. You have what the primary asset is.
Right.
You have what the strike price is. You have what the execution date, the expiration date is. You have what the settlement asset is. You've got whether it's a call or a put option. You've got so many just independent variables that exist on a continuum of possibilities. It's
right.
not a discrete set. It's an infinite set.
Okay.
And what happens in DeFi right now, if you're not on a proprietary platform and you want to just be able to trade these options kind of anywhere, is that for some reason people have decided they should be represented with ERC20s.
Got it.
And it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So you'll have, instead of, strike price between zero and infinity, you'll have strike prices at like very discrete marks in some of these use cases. And you end up with a very limited set of what is possible. solely because you'd had the alternative is ERC20 float, like infinite ERC20s.
Right. Right.
And what Revest is striving to do is to offer a much more natural fit, stop shoving these positions into boxes that it makes no sense to shove them into. We are trying to say, okay, instead of using fungible tokens to tokenize non-fungible positions, you could just use non-fungible tokens.
Which would seem to make sense.
It makes so much sense. It's so much more natural of a use case. It gives NFTs, the applications that people are always talking about that go beyond, just as a representation of art. It gives them a financialized representation, which to me, that's far more sustainable than something that, is just based on perceived value, I suppose.
Right.
It gives it a bit more bedrock. And I mean, I love art NFTs. I've made them. I buy a few every now and then, but I think that the future for NFTs lies in finance, not in art.
Love it. And I've actually been saying that, with art, we've just been scratching the surface of what NFTs are going to deliver for us. So I agree with you 100%.
I'm going to get down into the weeds on some of our applications now, but yes, it is going to be quite exciting.
Well, and I think it bodes well for your project that you saw this and you're laying the groundwork for it, right? Because that puts you in a great position to facilitate this for other projects, new projects, people that want to create their own things.
I mean, that you've touched on really one of our core principles, and I'll go off on a quick tangent because composability is a huge element of what Revest is about. We've designed our system in such a way that anyone can come in and build on top of us, much in the same way that Maker is a building block for so many other systems, that Uniswap is a fundamental building block, that somebody like Aave, Flash loans, everyone uses Flash loans.
Sure.
They're ubiquitous. Chainlink is Oracle's. And you have what we've done is we've set up all these endpoints in our contracts. We've set up public APIs that anyone can tap into.
Nice.
Anyone can write a Revest lock. Anyone can write a Revest just system that works with us that receives funds. And I guess I really get into what locks are and what Revest's actual applications are.
Sure.
This part's very much sense.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and jump into that.
Great.
Our first vertical, where we're entering the market, and this flows into how our system actually works, is vesting. And we see this as the low-hanging fruit. It's there are a lot of ways to lock tokens right now, but not a lot of ways to transfer lock tokens.
Right.
And yeah, we can get down into the weeds about the iniquities and the shortcomings of current systems, but the variety of locks that Revest offers is vastly superior to anything that I've heard else out there.
So essentially, you're addressing the problem where someone, a project founder, a team member, whatever, gets X number of tokens, but they're supposed to vest over a particular period of time, or maybe based on some performance metric, and being able to lock those up, and the ways that you lock those up is one of the verticals that you're first going after. Am I correct in
Yes,
that?
that's absolutely correct.
Cool.
So I'll start with the types of locks we offer, and then I'll kind of explain the applications and why what we're doing is better than anything else that exists currently in that space.
Okay.
So when we talk about locking tokens, there's really what's going on with Revest is you can take an ERC20 and deposit it into an ERC1155. That's fundamentally what our system does. And the way that you retrieve those tokens is you bring a copy of that ERC1155 to our system and say, hey, I have this copy. And the system says, okay, has another one of the unlocking criteria been met? Because there's effectively two locks on a new Revest Smart Vault. One of them is that you have that ERC1155, that NFT. The other one is that either a time, a value, or an address lock that is also on that vault is released.
Got it.
Time locks are self-explanatory. You set a time. Once that time has been reached, the lock unlocks. You can withdraw the underlying value. And in this case, it's easy to think of the underlying value as kind of packets. So you could come to me and say, hey, Rob, I have 100 tokens. I want 5 packets, 20 tokens each. I give you 5 NFTs. You can distribute them to your friends however you want. And then they can come back once that time lock has been unlocked, give me that NFT, and I give them back 20 tokens.
Nice.
So
essentially, I'm sorry, make sure people understand that may not know ERC 1155. Essentially, you're enabling people to lock into non-fungible tokens, what we all kind of think of as art right now, you're able into that technology, you're able to lock in tokens and give them values or criteria that must be met for people to get those tokens out whenever they're allowed to get them out.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So the second of these locks is the value lock. And a value lock functions kind of similar to a KPI. It doesn't unlock, I mean, it is a KPI fundamentally speaking. You choose an oracle. They've got 3 options available currently, likely more on the horizon. Right now, Chainlink and then 2 Uniswaps. You choose your asset that you want to compare from. You choose the asset you want to compare to. Be any 2 ERC20s, provided that there's an oracle available for them.
Right.
If they have Uniswap liquidity pools.
Got it.
So let's say I wanted, 1,000 Revest to unlock when the price of F goes above $5,000 for some reason. I can just set that up and it'll work right out of the gate. The applications for this, it works better when you pair it with a time lock and a combo lock, which is
Sure.
our address lock offerings. But it's really great for when you want to, reward growth out of the gate, but you also want that growth to be sustainable. So you could say have like a $250 million market cap at 1 month unlock, and then a $500 million market cap unlock at, the 3-month mark or a year.
Got it.
That would
Okay.
be a combo lock.
Right.
But you could also do it to just kind of set up what we call diamond handcuffs, sorry, where you
I
can
like
unlock
that.
your value and you cannot touch it until the value has actually reached that threshold. It's basically forced totaling.
Yeah, the one I watched the other day was, I think they were locking up founder tokens, and it was either X date or X value in the token.
That is the address lock.
Okay.
The most powerful lock in our arsenal.
Okay.
And the way the address lock works is that you can set up an arbitrary number of inputs and just basically program to do anything. It's either a contract or an address, like a wallet address.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what happens is that you write your own lock. If you're doing it in a contract, you'll just, you'll use our publicly available API. You'll implement it however you like, and you'll deploy it. You set it up so that it will gather information from the front end seamlessly, and anyone can come in and write one of these. Anyone can reuse them. On Friday, I wrote one for our partners at Blocks that's called an admin time lock. It allows an early unlock if a single address sends a message to the system, hey, you can unlock early ahead of time, or it's a time lock.
Nice.
And that's deployed. Anyone can use that now. It's reusable, and everything that gets, built on top of that just adds to the stack.
That's great. I think that a lot of this is functionality is available in an interface, right? Like, I can set up a lock without being a programmer. I don't need to know Solidity or anything else to
No,
set up
if you
some
just want to use
basic
one of the
locks.
existing locks, it's really quite easy. You just
That's
choose it from the menu and you're good to go.
that's awesome. And then some of those other things that you're adding to it are those things that you'll expose in the UI later on. People
In
add
terms of
new
the ability to
functionalities.
rate it, that's
Yeah.
so what we do is we have more of that's all Solidity based.
Yeah,
But
sure.
if you want to just write your own, you can just do that, and you can come to us and say, hey, I wrote this great lock, and we'd be like, oh, sure, yeah, we'll add it to our presets if it's good.
Cool.
And away you go. I
Nice.
mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, I could envision people creating all this functionality that ultimately you've created an application development platform that doesn't require someone to know Solidity, right? Because if they could string together some levels of logic, it's not a full blown thing. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, there's a lot of power in being able to do that.
well, the real advantage here is that we've separated out, value storage from just, writing a lock.
Right.
So if you write a bad lock on Revest, the worst case scenario is either the lock fails closed, the lock fails open. And the people who are supposed to get their tokens can't get them, or they can get them early. But they're still the people who are supposed to get their tokens.
Right. Right.
If you write a bad vesting contract, somebody else might get those tokens.
It makes sense.
So it ameliorates a lot of the problems you see with, less experienced developers writing code without fully going through the paces.
Makes sense. Makes total sense. All right. So kind of what you have kind of in your first vertical here with the locks, how have so far people been using them?
So far, I mean, these are the applications that we're foreseeing is a lot of team vesting, a lot of LP vesting. What we're trying to get kind of going in the industry and where we see this headed is actually even aligned for acquisitions. But I'll start off
Aha.
with some of the earlier stuff. So let's start from the bottom.
Sure.
Seed round tokens. So with Revest, you can come in, you've got a bunch of seed round investors. Our interface actually has a really easy way to distribute stuff to people. You paste an Excel file in there and you're good to go. It'll send those tokens under whatever lock you configure.
Nice.
That's fairly standard to traditional vesting structures,
Right.
except that you can turn around, you can resell these FNFTs.
That's what I was about to say.
Fungible tokens. You can
Right.
resell them on OpenSea. You can resell them on any of our partnership platforms, EcoFi's, Oracles. It's all coming. It basically allows you to take early liquidity, though at a slight, you're not gonna make as much money, but you are going to, be able to exit that position if you so desire.
Right.
One of the examples I love to use is, let's say you're a venture capitalist, right? Let's say you're a big boy VC and you got into a project, but you feel that yourself and that project's team are no longer aligned. In a conventional world, if you're on a 2-year vesting schedule, you'll just write that project off. You're not going to help them. You're not going to communicate. You're not doing anything for them. They're going to flounder. Their value's going to go down worse. You're going to just have to take a write-off. Nobody wins. But with Revest, you can actually exit a portion or the entirety of your position, especially if we see the existence of a DAO or another venture capitalist who's interested in rehabilitating projects.
Makes sense.
So
Love it.
they come in, buy the vested tokens at a subprime price, so they get a discount. You get to exit your position and take less of a loss. The team gets somebody who actually cares about the project. Everybody wins in that situation.
That's awesome. So I definitely can see like a ton of applications of that model in real life. And, look, you've got people buying lawsuit settlements, people buying other financial assets early. And it's great because essentially this is the thing. I've got 1 million of token X. I need cash today, or I just don't want to deal with this anymore. Somebody else believes in it or is willing to buy it at a discount because they think ultimately it'll have value above what they're paying for it. They can verify with Revest that these tokens are there. They're in the NFT. They're locked up until X criteria, and they can buy the NFT from me. That's beautiful. I love that.
It's basically, net present value, future present value.
Yeah. And it makes people involved early not feel like there's no exit right there, or it's, this thing is 5 years from now or 4-year vesting schedule or whatever. And I've got to wait and I need cash now because I'm having a baby or I need a house or whatever you need.
I'm going to jump into the team applications too, because I think
Cool.
you're really going to love this.
Awesome.
Currently in many projects, there's a lot of teams who come with a good idea, but maybe they're not a running team. Maybe they're just a building team.
Right.
So they've got the idea off the ground. They don't know what to do from here. They're not interested in managing it or, ongoing growth, learning management strategies to do that. They just want to get offloaded to someone who is interested in being kind of a holding company and move on to their next thing. Right now, if they've locked their liquidity tokens and if they've locked their team tokens, they're kind of screwed because existing locking platforms prior to Revest, you keyed that into a wallet, you're done.
You're done.
That wallet, can't sell that wallet. No one buys wallets.
Right.
So yeah,
you're out. That's a great example of a problem.
You're out of luck.
That's
Revest. You can turn around, you can find a DAO who wants to do that sort of work, and boom, you've just been acquired. It's one of the biggest industries in traditional finance. It doesn't exist in crypto for some reason. We're making it possible.
That's beautiful. I love that. I think once people understand what you've built, that the old ways of handling those situations, will go away. Because why not? I mean, why not provide that outlet for people?
We're making moves to teach our friends who are the seed round investors about Revest.
Nice. Yeah, it makes total sense because those guys could drive it. Yeah.
No, we've been very specific in our marketing.
Yeah.
Our push right now is to, it's similar to the coffee cup ring, how if you go into a coffee shop, you see those cardboard rings everywhere. Coffee shops didn't come up with that. The people who came up with that idea, once they come up with it, they went to the insurance companies and said, hey, we are going to save you tens of millions of dollars a year on people burning their hands. And all you have to do is to mandate that every single coffee shop in existence under your insurance use these coffee cup rings.
That's obvious.
Insurance company said, yeah, of course.
Drive the demand from that
Exactly.
indirectly. It'll make everybody happy, right? The VCs tokens are locked up, so the community, the founders aren't worried about a massive dump. The VCs know they have a way out. And for them to demand it or require it or request it from anybody they invest in is not, it's not a big ask, right? You're actually making the lives of the dev team easier for managing this, right? And you're reducing an attack vector. So
it's wonderful. I've heard so many dev teams telling me, with the current solutions weren't good, we were going to have to write our own vesting contracts. We're so glad you exist.
exactly. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So in that vein, kind of how many projects have you guys been able to onboard into it since you launched?
I think we're sitting around 3 right now. We've got a few more partners coming down the pipeline. So I expect to see more teams vesting their tokens shortly with us.
Sure.
And really our main thrust right now is getting involved with launch pads, getting involved with venture capitalists.
Right. So your big job now is you're really taking on a business development role and partnering and building up the network and all of that good stuff.
I mean, our goal is we don't want to just target individual project teams. I mean, individual project teams that I'm really excited about. I wish I could talk to them, but I literally can't. But we don't think that targeting individual teams is the right way forward. We think targeting them from an institutional perspective
Sure.
is the right way forward.
Well, I think that
We're
makes
having
sense.
a few announcements quite soon
Nice.
about some institutional players that we're going to be working with.
That's great. Well, look, I think ultimately your community that's excited about your project can drive individual projects that they're involved with in to use the platform, right?
We are very interested in that as well. We're preparing a program of sorts, and I can't give too many details away quite yet. But there's a reason we've been putting together educational materials that anyone can use to sell Revest, to tell people what we're doing, to explain, how we're going about this. We're very interested in marketing that actually, grows our reach, grows our revenue streams, and, grows the value that we deliver to our stakers, because that's the way that we work is whenever someone comes in, and we don't have revenue turned on right now because we are for the first few months in open beta, got to decide on a proper revenue model before we implement it. Can't implement it without, data on use.
Sure.
It's an interesting Ouroboros, but where we are with that is we aren't interested in marketing that just pumps our value. We want to be a big player. We consider ourselves to be a blue chip in all but market value at this point.
Sure.
And our goal is to market ourselves in a way that brings new people on board, not just pumps the token.
Yeah, I think people are going to start seeing what's possible with it, and that'll help just naturally spread the word. From a revenue perspective, are you considering things like fees that are paid as a percentage of what's the value staked and paid in your token, or staking required in order to have a vault?
The way it works is we take all the revenue we bring in and we give it 100% of it back to our stakers.
Nice.
It splits between the LP stakers and the single asset stakers. We have 4 different classes within those. We have 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 12 month. And the way that works is you lock your tokens into an FNFT.
Of course they should.
You can sell your staking position. You can literally exit it early.
That's awesome. What a great use case.
I want to exit early. I'm like, just sell it. Just go find somebody to buy it off.
Exactly.
Get a discount.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the way it works is you lock your tokens in. You have like an unlocking window, and then it automatically relocks and continues to earn fees throughout these periods. So the 12-month stakers are getting the best rewards. The 1-month stakers are getting the lowest, proportional to each other. I think 12-month has like a 14x multiplier on whatever you drop into it. So 14,000 in 1 month and 1,000 in 12 months are earning the same rewards. Interesting little bit. You got to reward people for locking up for a year. But the way that this all works is any fees that we incur, we're working on the fee model. We really like the ideas of, taking it as a percentage. That's definitely a good one. The problem is you have to be able to value it. So we're kind of right now our is a flat rate model when you can't value the token. And if you can value the token, then take it as a certain percentage, like, I don't know, 0.3% or so.
Right. Have you had projects come to you and say, hey, you know what? We want to use that same staking model with our tokens. And is there a staking platform for NFTs that would make sense for paying for that? Is that something you guys are putting out there for people to utilize?
We're considering looking into that.
That
Uh,
seems like a lot of projects would love that.
it's an interesting concept. We very much like it. We've had people talk to us about it. We haven't had any projects asked directly to use it yet, but we would be open to that. We
Yeah,
absolutely would.
it makes
I,
total sense. It gives, or even exchanges like, DeFi. I did an early play with them pre-launch, right? And the lockups were like 90 days. And I was semi annoyed when I saw a 90-day lockup, but I was like, whatever. I like this project. I like the team. I'll go for it. But think how many people that if they knew there was a lockup, but also knew that there was a marketplace over here where I could unload this and get my cash if I needed it based on what it's earned so far, that could be pretty awesome.
yeah. I mean, it's basically an escape hatch if you need it.
Yeah.
And someone else who's more bullish is going to swoop in and be like, "Oh, cheap tokens."
Heck yeah. Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
It's,
No, I see an entire business around that.
no, I mean, staking. We're kind of looking into that right now. Are actually. I mean, I'll give you some alpha because the community kind of knows about this. They kind of don't, but basically, what we're doing lately is I've got a side project going on. One of our newer devs actually is doing the interface, doing the Web3, doing the unit tests. I wrote the Solidity. What it is it takes our staking system and it abstracts it. And I mean, I'm a huge code nerd. I know people who code are just gonna love when they get their hands on this because I had to come up with some really weird concepts to get it to work, but it does.
Nice.
And what it is it's an NFT staking system. It can take any ERC 721 in existence, and you can lock it within the Revest FNFT NFT locker. It'll give you an FNFT that says, "Hey, I am this locked NFT, and I'm going to earn you rewards whenever somebody airdrops to the platform." Now, airdropping, what is regular airdropping? Well, that's just sticky rewards.
Right.
So anyone can come in and say, "Hey, this NFT address," so let's say CryptoPunks, I want to airdrop, I don't know, 100,000 Rob tokens to these guys to get their attention. Or, hey, I'm the dev of CryptoPunks. I want to, reward people who've locked up their NFT and made it even more liquid for a period of time by giving them staking rewards. I know for a fact that NFT staking is a big thing right now.
Yep.
In the NFT industry. So to me, this is basically the white label solution that people have been looking for.
That's amazing. When it's locked up, can additional tokens be added to it after it's locked up?
Typically, you'd have to create a new stake. There
A
might
new
be a
one.
way to do that. It is tricky just because
I'm
of the way that the system is built.
Yeah, I was envisioning it from the perspective of like an automatic trading bot that starts off with a principal and a set of funds, right? And then adds to that as the bot acts operates so that it can't be touched until it hits X value or some time lock on the amount of trading that's done. Not a necessity or even a
The
big market.
difficulty with adding to any position is always so when we do these kinds of stakes, we do some really fancy math that Fubar came up with and that I've kind of adapted. And the problem with that math is that what you're doing is you're setting a multiplier, right? So I have a multiplier of 1x here, and then it's like 1.5x here. And I know that between that time period, like 0.5 whatever came in.
Right.
The way that I back calculate interest rates on site arbitrarily, or not the interest rate, the interest is that I have to say, okay, this investment came in here, it's worth 1,000 allocation points. And then over here, when I pull it out, the multiplier is 1.5. This thing had a multiplier of 1 when I dropped it in. So I know that it's earned 0.5.
Right.
0.5 times 1,000 to represent what its total stake is. The difficulty is that if you're changing what that allocation point is in the interim, it's really hard to back calculate what the initial
Got it.
should have
Got
been.
it. Well, I guess programmatically you could just launch a new one with
I
similar
mean, yeah,
parameters.
that's absolutely doable.
Okay, that's cool. Very cool.
That is very much doable.
So
Uh,
what other
don't get me started on gas.
yeah, right. And this is layer one, right?
Yes, we are
That's
layer one. We are looking into L2s right now.
cool.
Do not want to jump the gun. We do not want to. I mean, it's enough for us to have one side project right now. If we if I was doing everything I want to do, like I've got ambitions for derivatives, I could take an interest bearing token like Aave, and I've literally got the code for this right, but I can't release it yet because it'd be too much of a distraction.
Sure.
I can take that and I can say, okay, here's the interest and here's the principal. You get two NFTs now, two FNFTs, and you can sell that interest bearing FNFT off and keep the principal. And you're basically taking the total interest payment right now.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
You literally are just trying to find somebody who thinks that interest rates are going to be higher
Right.
than what you're taking.
That's really interesting. So, well, you may have to start your own incubator / launch pad so you can take all your side ideas and have other people run with it.
Probably going to do some kind of community grants program eventually.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. So, are there other crazy scenarios you've thought of for this thing that you think in the future you might do or that are doable now, but that's not the market you're going after?
Staking.
Yeah.
So what you were talking about with the staking thing, there's a subset of that that I really have just loved, and that is the concept of yield and principal separation. I was talking about interest-bearing tokens. Why not staking?
Nice.
So the concept that you could actually bet on the value of a currency while you're staking it, and you could sell off that to somebody who wants to bet that future value of the staked token is going to be higher than what they're paying right now.
Very nice.
And I mean, it gets into the core of what derivatives are. They're gambling, they're hedges, but
Sure.
it allows you to do some really just ridiculous things in terms of guessing at interest rates and splashing around like that. I mean, yeah, that would have to be one that I'm really excited to play with. Call and put options are cool, but I think we're going to have to be deployed on an L2 before that's really feasible.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah. Right now with the L1s, you need things that are not like, hundreds of transactions in a week or something. You need
It's gas.
yeah.
And I've got an options contract written in Solidity. I did it pre-launch, but it costs about $1 million gas to do a single options creation.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
That's not going to float. That is not a viable option.
That's an L2.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. Well, look, I mean, you build here, you build the infrastructure, you get it, everything solid, and then you can start playing with everything on L2s once you're comfortable. I think that makes sense.
L2s and really just seeing F 2.0 come along would be so exciting.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping we get some relief.
Oh gosh, please.
Wow, Rob, this project sounds absolutely amazing. I really think you're solving some really immediate problems that the DeFi has in general. And I'm definitely gonna play with this thing. I'm really excited about it.
We have Rafy, so you can just toss
Nice.
it around to your heart's content.
Nice. Well, I love the concept, and I'm actually been playing with a bit of an idea in the back of my head that I think this could be actually really interesting for displaying the power of what you've built, but in a less serious way. So it's a little bit of a gamified thing. So I might ping you back on DMs in the next week.
Absolutely. No gamification. I'm about it.
Yeah, right.
We had a
The
dev.
Minecraft guy.
Yeah, we had a dev. We had a dev suggest the idea that okay, you've got address locks. These things just unlock whenever somebody sends a signal to them or when a specific set of conditions are met. And like I'm saying, address lock, they're anything. Like you could set an address lock to unlock, I don't know, when man sets foot on the moon again. It's pretty easy. He's thinking, okay, what if you go on a quest in a metaverse game and you get the FNFT as the reward, and like when you finish the quest, it just unlocks.
So we're exactly on the same path. Less meta, I mean, some metaverse, but also some DeFi partners, right? So it becomes a scavenger hunt to take actions with partners of yours or other projects or in a metaverse or whatever. And there's an initial NFT that you have. And then along the way, you can collect them and collect things and unlock tokens that would reward you further or other NFTs maybe. So yeah,
Really cool.
yeah,
You could
yeah.
you could totally do that with a Chainlink Oracle too. You just
That's
set up a single, like, you query the event log. See, hey, did this guy do this? Did this guy do this? Did this guy do this? I like that idea.
That's brilliant. I'm
Yeah.
so glad somebody else is thinking along those lines because I think that there's a ton of potential for something like this. So
Thank you so much, Brad.
yeah, man, I'll ping you about it later. But I'm actually pretty excited to have this interview with you now because I've been noodling on this idea for several weeks, and I think it's a perfect solution. I ask everybody that comes on the show, who is someone in DeFi or in crypto that you consider one of the most important people or project in the space, or that you just have this unbelievable level of respect for and feel like they're so critical to everything we're doing?
I'm gonna go twofold here. If we're talking about projects,
Sure.
Aave.
Sure.
Aave is the backbone. Aave is the gold standard, in my opinion, for what a blue chip DeFi should be. They dipped below their launch price for a while, and everyone forgets that. They launched at the very end of the bull market in 2017.
Right.
They go down, and no one really cares about Eflin. And then they start coming back up. They're doing interesting things, and people are catching on. It's like, oh wait, this is huge. These guys are massive. Why is this being ignored? And now they shoot off into space, and it's Stanny's a legend. You know, it's a beautiful protocol. In terms of people, though, Andre Cronje.
Yeah.
Andre, I've talked to him a few times. He's a fantastic human being. He keeps putting things out.
Yep.
The other day, he doesn't do it for recognition. He doesn't do it for like any sort of, people don't even know that he's the guy who actually came up with Keepers. Chainlink forked it.
Right.
So
I didn't know how heavily he was involved in Phantom. I had
he's
no
huge.
idea until I interviewed the Phantom guys.
In between that, he actually wrote an on-chain price oracle that I am so glad he wrote. Because it takes Uniswap v3, does cross asset, which is insane. I've rewritten our Uniswap v2 swap oracle. It is the most horrible thing in the universe to play with that kind of math. Andre came in, did it clean, did it beautifully with, I think it was not Justin Sun. The guy's last name is Sun, because I call it the Conda Sun Oracle on Revest. He just put it out there, just like wrote a very short medium piece on it, didn't make a huge deal out of it. This is a generalized price oracle. This doesn't need updates. It's
Incredible.
fantastic. It works for anything on Uniswap v3. And he's just like, oh yeah, here.
It's amazing. People like that are incredible. But they just keep cranking it out, and they're not looking for the ego stroke. They're not looking to make somebody pay them for those things they're releasing. They're just doing it. Now, I'm sure, look, they know down the line the rewards have accumulated or whatever, but at the end of the day, they're just creating things. I had no idea his level of like writing a consensus mechanism for Phantom. Like, I had no idea. I thought it was like he was an advisor to the project. They're like, no. This guy's cranking on this thing every day. It's what?
He's always off doing rarity at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Right.
great.
MMO in between.
It's amazing, man. Amazing. Those are great. Those are two great ones. What's the best way for people to connect with you and get involved with the project?
In terms of becoming a coder on the project, probably our Discord. In terms of joining the community, definitely the Telegram.
Great.
In terms of getting in touch with me, I'm always around the Telegram. Go ahead and tag me. Most of the time, I'll respond pretty quickly.
Cool.
But yeah, myself and the team, we try to keep a good presence in the community.
Good.
We want people to feel like we are involved and that we do care about what they have to say, because hey, they're a big part of the project too.
Absolutely. So all those VCs now that want to come sign up their projects,
Just shoot me a DM. I'll
have him reach out to you. What's the website address?
Revest.finance.
Revest.finance, and on Twitter it is Revest Finance, correct?
Yes.
Awesome.
No spaces, no underscores. Anybody else is a scammer trying to steal your money. Never give away your seed phrase.
There you go. Beautiful. Rob, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited about your project. I think that it's one of those things that people are like, well, wait a minute, what does this do? And then they start considering the possibilities for it. And I think the fun thing for you is going to be, not only are you going to be able to see success with the kinds of drivers and use cases that you thought of, but I think what's going to happen is people are going to be like, well, I could do this with this. And you're going to be like, what? That's so cool that you thought of that. Right. And I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think that's a lot of fun for project creators. I think that actually I think some of the biggest innovations in tech have come about because people saw something and said, well, wait, I could use it for this. And nobody ever actually considered it for that. So that's great, man.
I really appreciate it, Brad. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
I'm really excited to see where Revest goes. I've left my position as a doctoral student. I'm not going back, and
Wow.
I'm here to stay.
Awesome. Well, I think you're on the right path, and congratulations on the new marriage and the new project. And we'll check back in with you in 6 months or so and see how things are going.
That sounds fantastic. I look forward to talking with you again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Same, man. One of the best things about DeFi is composability, and Revest has composability written all over it. So many cool options for using this project for other applications, other ways to solve problems, and of course the core problem of solving vesting schedules, etc., that they're working on right now is a huge one in DeFi. So I have a lot of hope for this project. I think it's got a ton of potential. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Thank you for listening. If you like it, please rate us, review us, tell your friends about it, tweet about it. Anything you can do to help promote us helps us grow and spread the word about decentralized finance.